I see in paragraph 75, again, a reference to the need to recognize indigenous peoples as strategic partners, as opposed to a risk factor, and the need to guarantee financial flows, direct financial flows to them in the context of appropriate policy. And then finally, I take pride in paragraph 47, and I did not plan this. This was a surprise to me to see a reference to the Forest Carbon Partnership Facility and the need to broaden the work that the FCTF has been doing in some tropical forest countries, about 45, together with our colleagues from UN Red and the United Nations, to as many tropical forest countries as possible. I'm saying it gives me pride and hope because when we launched the Forest Carbon Partnership Facility in Bali in December 2007, many indigenous people's leaders demonstrated violently against this new initiative and against the risk that they perceived that carbon finance would further increase their vulnerability in the context of fragile rights. So to see 17 or 18 years later, the recognition that we have all built something together, and some indigenous leaders who are in the room today were part of that design. I see colleagues from Kenya in particular. I'm sure I'm missing someone. The second thing is that we have been changing in the World Bank. We're not perfect, for sure. We have made many mistakes, and unfortunately, more mistakes will be made in the future that indigenous peoples call out. But we have made progress. We have adopted free, prior, and informed consent as part of our safeguard policies. We call it our environmental and social framework, which was adopted in 2018. And in this context, there is a specific standard on indigenous peoples. And this standard is now applied in about a third of the World Bank funded investments. It's not that we don't want to apply it to the rest, it's that there's not indigenous people in the context of all of our projects. But we need to apply it well. This standard number 7, and this is something that the report has rightly called for, is that yes, safeguards may exist, but they need to be applied consistently and well. How many minutes do I still have? Okay. I want to say that we have been working, this is the second part of my remarks, on a number of programs. I mentioned the Forest Carbon Partnership Facility capacity building program that you contributed to putting in place, which was meant to help indigenous people to engage in RED Plus alongside government based on better information and an understanding of what RED Plus meant. We have set up the dedicated grant mechanism that is, gets close to direct access to climate finance in quite a number of countries, about $4 to $6 million managed by indigenous peoples and local community organizations. One that is particularly successful is in Peru, where IDESEP, I don't know if IDESEP is present here. Yes, I recognize IDESEP. IDESEP has been asking us to do this again, divide it and scale it up. And finally, we have still a program called Enable, which is meant to accompany the fair distribution and social inclusion and gender equality in the context of the issues that are now, very quickly, let me tell you 2 or 3 things that we're working on. First of all, in Peru, we did listen to IDESEP and others, and in fact, Grupo Peru was established in Peru, which is a fantastic new development, coming from a conflictual situation from years ago, where now IDESEP, CONAP, ANECAP, and the Ministry of Environment have created this Grupo Peru, this alliance that is meant to seek opportunities for indigenous RED Plus. This is something that IDESEP invented 10, are supporting this program, 7.3 million hectares in Peru. The second thing you've probably heard, including from some of my colleagues, about the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, TFFF, that Brazil and other countries are promoting. The World Bank has been asked to provide certain technical support, including on consultations, engagement with indigenous peoples around the world, and we're very proud to be working with the global Alliance for Territorial Community. One guy is in the room here. So that's a big deal. It could mean a potentially significant new financing for indigenous peoples in tropical forest countries around the world if it works well. And then finally, and I will start with that, Madam Chair, just yesterday I got permission from the chair of the Mesa Permanente de Conservación, which is the alliance of the 7 main indigenous peoples federations of Colombia, and from the Minister of Finance of Colombia, to say that we're working together on the concept of an indigenous peoples bank. Starting in Colombia, the idea would be to create a financial mechanism that would be appropriate for indigenous peoples to have access to financial resources, not grants, investment, meaning that there is reimbursement, but on appropriate time, so that they can invest in their socio-economic development according to their lifetime plan de vida on their terms. This is something very new, but the idea is to link the financial sector with indigenous people's rights, development, and of course, the fight against global climate change and the loss of biological diversity. So I will start with
I will now open the floor to our discussion on this item, and we will continue to hear from the speakers inscribed to speak under this item, based on the same list we used for our morning meeting today. In keeping with the practice of the forum, we will continue to locate statements on observers. The representatives of indigenous people organizations are responsible